The Bob TV Network presents, broadcasting live from the greatest city in the world, New York City. It's the Bobby Brown Show. And now here's your host, Bobby Brown.
Well. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Good evening, New York, Texas, Florida, you name it. Good evening, everybody. Washington, D.C. I'm in a good mood today. Got a chance to bump into old hustle man himself, Tracy Morgan. And Tracy was in Bentley. Yeah. Tracy was in a Bentley and riding over there by Madison Square Garden, window down, curtain open. So obviously he wanted somebody to see. So nobody really was recognizing. I'm like, that is Tracy Morgan. Man, what's up? He said, how you doing, man? Love. It went over there, gave him some love and everything, man. We dapped it up. He said, you going to the game? Fortunately, nah, man, it's packed out. So, do you like that? I would try to get you extra. I was like, yo, you know me, bro. He said, look, go ahead and take a picture with me before the light go out, man. So, my cheap old LG stylo phone just wouldn't pop up quick enough. So, didn't get a chance to get that picture with him. But I did throw my card in the car. Hanging partners. Dude is mad. Tracy Morgan is a real deal. New York all day, Brooklyn, New York all brother. So but you just know some people that's real, man. He starstruck. He wasn't all about that, get thee away from me. Crap. I mean, dude was just now you want interviews, know how to do them. Nevertheless, been a good week. A lot of stuff going on. A lot of good things, a lot of bad things, happy things. But God, okay. I'm just thankful that it comes in my mind every day, and I don't want to think about it. Heck, I end up thinking I have to be grateful that you love on them, call them as much. Call them once a week. Bye. You better. All right, so we're gonna get into this. Got a lot of stuff I was gonna talk about, but I don't even think technical difficulty, technical difficulty, technical. I'm not gonna be all the stories. Go talk about uh, Ronald Green cops. A lot of people talked about point of view. Talk about how Jill Biden was not defending. Talk about Talk about the queen of all caring psychopath. Talk about Lord and calling her a racist. You know what a racist is? Racist is not in defense of Lord. I'm going to talk to him just for 1 week only, just for a little bit. Let me give them some time to talk to everybody else. I don't talk to black and brown. Talk to more brown than you. Talk about that. Bobby Brown. Right now, I want to talk about, we've been talking about the Asian since they started the efforts to get an Asian hate, work on an Asian. And it passed. It passed like, passed like water through a faucet. A summer day. It passed through like Metamucil, your grandma. And we talked about why it passed, mainly because the economics of America, so they're not that big. They a lot of money, like move people from out of this country. Way in a bond. Claim they did. Claim they were going to build a joint. Voice. Haven't heard anything about that. But we're going to get into the story. And take my time. I'm 12:30. But I want to start off with us politicians, Joe Biden himself, Kamala Harris herself. We know the Trump Republicans, they're not going to do much anyway. But I remember this interview right here.
One of the questions that the black community has is, Senator Harris, if you are elected president, what would be your agenda for the black community?
Right.
We know that black Americans are arrested at higher rates for marijuana.
Right.
We're denied mortgages when we loans
exactly
for mortgages.
Right.
There's a
That's
wealth
right.
disparity. So how do you
That's
help the
right.
black community from
That's
the White
right.
House?
That's right. Well, the first step is to understand that the needs of black folks are the needs of everyone, and the needs.
Now, that's that bullshit. The needs of black folks are not the needs of everybody. We have totally separate needs, just like the Asians have their own separate needs. Every community, not the same. Yes, we're all human. Yes, we all got to live one day and die one day. We all come out of the poom poom of a female, then come out of poom poom of a male. We came out of poom poom of a female. We're appointed once to die. You probably don't believe this, but as the scriptures say, then there's judgment. Everybody's going to die one day. Those are the only things that we got in common. We all are fighting against the injustice in America, but some fighting on a higher level than the other. Now, I just want to make sure, a second, because I hear a couple people saying my mic is cutting in and out. Can you hear me now? Please, somebody tell me. There's a delay on this. Can you hear me now? Buddy, you hear me? According to this, my mic is good. I'm getting great levels right. Thank you, John. Thank you, Frank. Thank you. All right, so let me get back into my story. Women, men do it too. Black women are thing and do it. That's why I never fell in this. I never fell for the firstism, because the firstism don't mean nothing if you're not gonna do something great when you become the first. Here we got her being the first black female vice president. Now this is what she had to say about helping out the black community. She don't have an agenda. She never spent time with the black community to try to get an agenda. All she wanted was a vote. And she would use her black Jamaicans, listen to Tupac, and Snoop Dogg, black, Breakfast Club, mamas them, my cousin them, and all that, when really never grew up on the side of so-called blackness. She grew up on the Asian heritage. Let me get back into this. You know, what she's saying is diabolical to me. It ticks me off. There's no way that we all have the same needs. I have some same basic needs, but the things that separate us are the things that we struggle with. We don't struggle the same. We haven't been through the same. But here is she, talking that yin yang, pun intended. All right, before I go out the way, do this or they'll strike me. In good faith, this work contains fair use of copyright and non-copyrighted images, public domain, the web, non-commercial, non-profit educational purposes. Work is distributed free of charge. I'm not charging nobody. The author has neither monetized this. I'm not monetizing this work nor saw any profits from its distribution. Kind of profit, any kind of money I get is goodwill, love offerings because you love me. And I don't even switch. Copyright disclaimer: Section 107 in Copyright Act 1990 is made for fair use for the purpose such as criticizing, I'm commenting, according to news, I'm teaching, scholarship, research. Fair use is any use permitted by copyright statutes that might otherwise be infringing. But nonprofit YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, all you, nonprofit, education, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. This work contains original work of commentary and critical analysis. Quotations are attributed to the original author and the source. So this is the original quotation of Kamala, Hamlet, whatever you want to call her. Probably get her name right. Put some respect on her name. Kamala Harris. These are her quotes. The video of her talking out the
needs of everyone are the needs of black folks.
Wealth disparity. So how do you help the black community from the White House?
That's right. Well, the first step is to understand that the needs of black folks are the needs of everyone.
Cool.
And the needs of everyone are the needs of black folks. It is also equally important.
Saw how that sister was looking at her. How she was looking at her.
To understand that this is a country that had over 200 years of slavery, had Jim Crow, had legalized segregation and discrimination, and now de facto segregation and discrimination. And so while our needs are like everyone else's in terms of we want our babies to be born healthy and live a happy and productive life, we care about issues of climate change, we care about issues of national security. We also know that when you look at disparities around wealth, around home ownership, around education, around who is stopped, arrested, and incarcerated in this
That's not the question she asked you. She asked you what you going to do to fix that, lady. That's the question. Shout out to my homie, the Information Man Show, incredible commentator on YouTube. This guy should be primetime television. I'm telling you. Check out his show. But this is not what the lady asked you from the griot a year ago, Kamala. She asked you what you're going to do to fix the needs of white people. You coming up here talking about, well, our needs are needs of everybody. That's just a blow off to not actually do anything for black people. Then you run your mouth.
This country, there are huge disparities based on race, and that has to be dealt with. So part of my proposal, in terms of the agenda, specifically for black folks, is about what we need to do, for example, around maternal mortality. I have actually sponsored a bill and intend, as President of the United States, to make sure it is passed, around recognizing that black women are 3 to 4 times more likely to die in childbirth. And when you study the issue, you know that it is not about the education level of somebody, it is not about their socioeconomic level, it is literally about their race. Remember what happened to Serena. It is literally about racial bias in the medical health professions that cause people to not take black women seriously when they walk into the door.
Ask you again about black people. Now, black women are a part of black people. But she asks you what you're going to do to lift up the black community. Not this bull crap. Sure, we have issues with health care and when it comes to women, but we got issues with health care with men. Everybody got health care issues, lady. You're going to pass a law to help one health care issue? Come on.
Door of that hospital or that emergency room in terms of how they talk about what they need. The agenda includes HBCUs, for example. I am a proud graduate of Howard University.
Yeah, you luckily got there because of a scholarship from Canada into the United States, a foreign scholarship. Now, here's my deal. Every black person ain't trying to go to no HBCU. Heck, most black people don't even get a chance to get to college because they don't have the money to go to college. You know, had opportunity. Afforded. So what I do, I went into the military instead. Try to get some money to go to college. So I had to go out there and risk my life to go to war out of a drop of a hat to try to get higher education. Calm down, right?
I know that our HBCUs have raised and helped raise generations of leaders in this country and do it in a very special way that is about nurturing and about creating high standards and challenging young people to be their best, not giving them any excuse, but giving them all kinds of support. So we need to do more. Yeah, I'm right now working on, and actually got it out of the Senate, and the House passed it around giving more money to HBCUs around their historic.
They got nothing to do with helping black. Hey, this is 5 minutes in. I'm trying to just reiterate. I'm trying to refresh your mind of what you're dealing with her as vice president. I think she's going to become president, but right now, Joe Biden giving gas face. Matter of fact, all of these black politicians, black girl magic, they getting the gas face from white America and from everybody else other than black America. Everybody else starting to give them the gas face, or I like to say vapors. Bottom. Or Lightfoot, Owen Sanders. I mean, they all getting the gas face, and she's about to get it too. We was going to talk about how Jill Biden got upset because, she called Joe Biden a bigot and then had to cover it up. But back to this.
Historic landmarks, but there's more to be done around creating incentives for more young people to go into the STEM professions through HBCUs. There is what we need to do around the point that you were raising about the economic disparities. I have a proposal that will be my first order of business when elected president that is about lifting up middle-class working families. And what I'm proposing specifically.
Lifting up middle-class working family, not lifting up middle-class or lower-class black families, middle-class work. The question was, what you gonna do for black people? This don't sound like black people, girl. This don't sound like black people.
Is that families that are making $100,000 or less would get a tax credit that they would receive at up to $500 a month. This proposal, economists across the board have said, would be
leave up to $500. Up to. Not doing that. Not even talking about it. She's not even pushing Joe Biden on it. No, not even. And all that stuff is just a bunch of syrup on a pancake. All it is.
The most significant middle-class tax cut for American families and generations, and it would lift up 60% of black families out of poverty.
Mm-hmm. So it does.
So how many would it lift up outside of black? 75% Latinos, 80% Asians, 100% whites. Why are you just sticking black people right there when it comes to that? When you just said out of your mouth, middle class.
Does touch black families.
Oh, absolutely, directly, directly.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you look at the proportionality of where black families,
you know, she's lying when she do that. When she pause and have that look, I mean, she's doing a lie.
Touch black families.
oh, absolutely, directly,
directly.
Mm-hmm. Because when you look at the proportionality of where black families are, you see it in terms of housing and home ownership, where white families is something, I'm going to get this generally right, but something around 70% of white families own their homes versus somewhere around 40% for black families.
Yeah.
So,
hey, Lord. See, I'm not a. That's what my man information. That's boy. Wow. You know, and verified. You like, wow. You want them some true stats? Kamala, go holler at him. He'll let you know what it really is.
you don't have to look very hard to see that disparities exist. But you also don't have to look very hard to see this. That when we're talking about families, regardless of their color, they have an equal desire to work hard, to love their children, and allow them to have a pathway and an equal pathway to success. Black mothers, white mothers of whatever race wake up in the middle of the night worrying about their children and their health and their well-being, and we need to address that. But I will say there's another issue that we need to address that's specific to black families, and that is this. We cannot have a society where a father or a mother, by the time their son turns about 12 years old, has to sit down and have the talk with him about how he will be stopped or chased or arrested or even killed because of the color of his skin.
And so how do you intend to change that from the White House? How would you change policy around that?
Part of it is that the president makes a decision about who's going to run the United States Department of Justice. Currently, under this administration, they have shut down the pattern and practice investigations that involve investigating police departments that have a pattern and practice of discrimination.
And currently, still not pushing hard on pattern and practice. She's not for that. She covered up for cops too when she was AG. This lady right here, man, I don't see how people bought this bull crap coming off, man. I know y'all was scared of Trump, man. I get it, man. You got to get rid of that nutcase Trump. But all you're doing is replacing them with more intelligent nutcases. Lady's just letting this black lady let her know, I don't care about my community. I care about all communities. So I'm going to focus on policies that's going to focus on all communities, that's going to eventually help black communities. But, and that's the only way I'm going to lift them up, by lifting everybody up.
Those need to be reopened and revived. with vigor, because no American should want that a police department that has a history and a pattern and practice of discrimination should be able to get away with that without consequence and accountability. Another issue is what happens through the Department of Justice around consent decrees, which are...
And I got to stop right there, because it's a bunch of bull crap coming out of our mouth. She was letting that stuff go on in California and in San Francisco area for kissing up the Arnold Schwarzenegger and all those people, man. Trying to get in good with him. Getting in good with Willie Brown, getting in too good with Willie Brown. Matter of fact, Willie Brown getting in good, real good, with her, you know, and she was loving it and flaunting it in his face, but that's besides the point. But she was doing whatever she can to appease to the Brown administration. She was trying to appease to the Schwarzenegger administration. She's a long time trying to cover up for these race soldiers. And then she's going to talk about, I'm going to do something to help with the, you know, I got to help these people realize that they got to have to talk with their children. You the reason that why they got to have the talk.
Basically, a requirement that police departments that have a history of that kind of behavior, they're under a court order for supervision. This Department of Justice has essentially shut those down.
Right.
First order of business with me would be to revive those.
So she was asked about what you gonna do for the Black community. Try to help out with maybe do a lift program for everybody in that. In other words, she ain't trying to do nothing for no Black people. All she wants is to pretend to use her multicolored, multiracial side. And you got people like that. I'm not, look, if you're multiracial, I'm not hating on you. But at least embrace who you are. I wasn't mad at Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods told the truth. He's multiracial. Not leaning into his dad's side. He got Asian in him too. I mean, you are what you are. But when you're in America, you got to realize that you got to really, really put in your foot in the ground of what community you're going to represent. Because you can go out there and you can have Asians in you, but at the end of the day, white racists, race soldiers, people who are bigots, they can always still see you as a Black person. And if you're not going to be a helper of them pushing their agenda, then you going to be hurt by their agenda. And they're going to make sure you get hurt by their agenda. So you need to realize that, yeah, you have Asian, you know, and I guess her dad is what I was at is not by that is Jamaican don't make you Black. No more than America make you white. Let me. But then she said this bull crap and goes around and says this right here.
Do you support reparations for Black people?
Well, listen, again, we had over 200 years of slavery. We had...
Here she go with the typical politician, deflect, dodge, control the conversation. All right, I ain't going to ask me. If I answer that question, I can white Republicans support me. Or if I end up being, I didn't get white Republican. Let me instead of saying, yes, I do.
Jim Crow for almost a century. We had legalized discrimination and segregation, and now we have segregation and discrimination that is not legal but still exists and is a barrier to progress. We have disparities around housing. We have disparities around education. We have disparities around income. And we have to recognize that everybody did not start out on an equal footing in this country. And in particular, Black people have not. And so we have got to...
In particular, are you kidding me? In particular, we the only ones going through this bull crap. Have anybody heard about an Asian being thrown on their stomach and knee put on the back? Some cop just cussing them out, calling them all kind of names and killing them? Have anybody heard about that today? Have anybody heard that? I mean, you know, if anybody catch heat other than black people, we could say Latinos, because you got a lot of Afro Latinos that look black too, and the cops gonna assume they're black, and they're not even gonna ask questions. They gonna look at you, and if you got an Afro, you black. So they gonna come at you hard too. But have anybody heard of anybody this week, last month, has gotten killed? Let me tell you something. I told you last week, over 120 people were murdered since 120 black people were murdered by police since the Chauvin trial, or at least died at the hand of police since the Chauvin trial. 120. Now that trial wasn't 90 days ago. What, a little over a month and a half? 120 is an epidemic, but I don't see nobody out here pushing black hate policies. Not even her.
Recognize that and do something about that and give folks a lift up. That's why, for example, I'm proposing the Lift Act. Give people who are making $100,000.
Give people, not give black people, give people. So she letting you know where she stand. She stand with the all people category. She don't stand with B1 black first, lifting black people up first. No, she gonna stand with her Asian community over the black community. Making her mama proud. Making her grandfather proud, who happened to be a diplomat in India. Well, I think he's upper echelon diplomat in India.
Or less as a family, a tax credit, which will benefit and uplift 60% of black families who are in poverty.
So by default, it affects black families, but there's not a particular policy for African Americans that you would expect.
Now, she's basically saying, yeah, you saying all that crap. Yeah, come on. That ain't what I asked you. I need you to tell me a particular policy for black people. And look at her face right there. She's thinking, because she's on camera right now. Thinking. About to stick her finger up her nose and get a boog out. That's how hard she's thinking.
But no, if you look at the reality of who will benefit from certain policies, when you take into account that they're not starting at the...
Folks, I'm sorry, this one... He's a BSer, man. Full of bull. This is why you got to get deep into the knowledge of your politicians, get an education they were in the past, in the present, and where they're going to end up leading us in the future. My granddaddy said, what you done on the past, what you do today determine your tomorrow. Your past will stuff if you haven't had a full repentance of your past, and she haven't had a full of a horrible past as prosecutor, DA, and attorney general. She was very hard on the black community. She wasn't trying to lift up the black community. She was a tyrant to the black community in San Francisco. A freaking tyrant. I understand why people just came up with this Kamala Harris when they was all of a sudden loving Kamala, trying to figure out. Okay, she probably did a couple of crackdowns as AG, but she was doing more. She wasn't doing things to help people as far as cracking down did for hurting people.
Same place, and they're not starting on equal footing. It will directly benefit black children, black families, black homeowners.
Of course, and it will directly benefit Asian children, Asian homeowners. It's going to benefit everybody because you said this is a policy for everybody. But then you're going to say...
Because the disparities are so significant. So if we focus on the specific issues that have resulted in the greatest disparities, and we understand that that's part of why we're doing it. Listen, the reality also is this. Any policy that will benefit black people will benefit all of us.
I told you when she have that stupid look on her face like she got right now, about to lie. Go again.
Black people will benefit all of us that have resulted in the greatest disparities. And we understand that that's part of why we're doing it. Listen, the reality also is this. Any policy that will benefit black people will benefit all of society. Let's be clear about that. Let's really be clear about that. So I'm not going to sit here and say...
All right, let me stop it there before she say the final dagger that made me say, I don't want to have nothing to do with you. I don't care how much I don't like Trump. I don't like you. As a matter of fact, I loathe you just as much as I didn't say love. I loathe you as a politician just as much as I loathe Donald Trump, much as I loathe Joe Biden. I loathe all three of you. Mike Pence, at least he keep his mouth quiet. Mike Pence is a butt kisser. I'll do whatever. But this is what she said, man. I mean, wish my people understand that she full of bull. I'm trying to calm down on my cussing, man. I've been doing good with not cussing, but bull crap.
About that. Let's really be clear about that. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit black people. No, because whatever benefits that black family will benefit that community and society as a whole and the country, right?
I'm not just going to say I'm going to do anything to benefit black people. No. But whatever benefits black people going to benefit all people. What I do, I'm going to do something to benefit black people. Ain't nothing out of this Asian hate that's benefiting us. Just gave them you made them a protective class. They're up there with the bald eagle. Certain types of alligators, you can't kill them. Can't do nothing to it. If you do, it's going to be hell on your behind. You just sat there and said that for 200 years, actually, I know it. It's been over 200 years of oppression for black people. Stuff, the hell we had to go through. You don't want to really say anything about reparations. That's the least of what we're demanding. She's going to sit here and say, when I do something for all people, it's going to benefit black people. Just stay off me. But you do this mess right here. Calm myself down. Here's what the new hate crime law aims to do as attacks on Asian Americans arise. Now look here on the left, on your right, on Joe Biden's right, on my left. There you go. I see 5 Asians, 4 Asian, and 1, whatever. White guys. Republican over here. I mean, we got some people over here. The article from Barbara Spunt, NPR. Following overwhelming support from both, that even pisses me off. Following overwhelming support from both chambers of commerce. Overwhelming support from both chambers of commerce. And I guarantee you, 100% of the CBC, 100% of the Congressional Black Caucus. I mean, I might be wrong, but tell me what black person that voted against this bill when it should have been all of them. Should have been all on boycott and said, no, we ain't doing this, Joe. I mean, you're going to do a hate crime bill for black people and they can benefit from it. Because Kamala Harris say, if I do something for this person, it's going to benefit the other person, right? President Biden signed legislation Thursday that addresses hate crime. What is the hate crime? Everybody know robbing is a crime. Nobody really label it a hate crime if I rob you. Okay, I'll bust you upside the head. Sometimes when somebody busts you upside the head, that don't mean it's a hate crime. Thursday that addressed hate crimes throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, with particular emphasis on the increase of violence against Asian Americans. Well, if Information Man showed you that the violence ain't all that. That the FBI showed the statistics, and you go watch his show. You go watch his show. He did a wonderful piece on the Asian hate situation, and he shows you the statistics from the FBI. And you talking about probably less than 100 when we got over 120 something people since Derek Chauvin trial. Black people been murdered by the protectors of our society. At an event in the East Room of the White House, Biden thanked lawmakers for coming together to pass the legislation. He said standing against hatred and racism, which he called the ugly poison that has long haunted and plagued our nation, is what bring America. Joe meant that from his heart. He really believes that, yeah. My message to all those who are hurting is we see. You don't see nobody, man, because it's not a dime in a dozen, Joe. This very rarely happens. And to keep black people from making demands, like you told them in that so-called closed meeting, Zoom meeting, that happened to be leaked out by The Intercept and Brian Grimm, that you can't just do anything for us. And that we need to worry about Latinos. And we need to be worried about working with them, since they're going to be the majority. Folks, how you let in your face and basically say, can't do nothing for you. Oh, but you can sit at the election, at the inauguration, and say, hey, black people, I hear you. You the one put me over the edge. You the one got me the presidency. I'm not going to forget you. He probably didn't forget you, but he's sure remembering everybody else but you right now. Listen to this speech. I got this. This is the first speech.
My message to all of those who are hurting is we see you. And the Congress has said, we see you. And we are committed to stop the hatred and the bias.
All right. We see you. All right. There was a movie by the Central Park Five say when they see us. You see them as a higher class than black people. And let's just admit it. Some people don't want to admit it. And I know I probably got some Asian people watching up here. They see you as a higher level than black people. You're no different from us. You haven't gone through anything that we've been through in this country. Not saying you haven't been through. You ain't been through. This man say he see you. He see you because he see how much money you bring to the game, and he see that you don't have any allegiance, and he sees that. And black people, we need to start letting him see the same thing. We need to start letting them know that we're economical developers too. We need to stop selling out our own land, our own property for a quick buck. We need to start coming together and start buying property, being innovative and starting our own stuff, starting our own beauty salon, starting our own hair product service. We need to stop patronizing them. I've got Asian all over New York. My uncle is an Asian. I helped him working in a hair store for a while. It was a men's. New York hip hop fashion. Black people wasn't selling New York hip hop fashion in Virginia. It was the Asians and the Indians selling New York hip hop fashion in Virginia. We created hip hop fashion, but yet everybody else is making a profit off it. But we can't do it. Yeah, he see us. He see that we're willing to sell out real quick, fast, in a hurry, and we need to stop letting them see that. He see these Asians say, I see you. I see your tight-knit community. I see that you look out for each other. I see that you got a code, and that if somebody break the code, you quick to kick them to the curb. I see that you don't show us no allegiance. I see that you're willing to step up against in our face and deny us what we want. Because that's what Tammy Duckworth did. I see you. Here's Kamala Harris, your black girl magic, and grinning because her mother's side of the family get a protective class, become a protective class. Cool, man. This reminds me of the first legislation that Barack Obama pushed. Black people put him in the office just like we put Joe Biden in the office. And see, George Bush was not the evil man dangling in our face. I mean, they told us George Bush was going to put us back in the slavery. Even Joe Biden said it. They're going to put y'all back in chains. You know, but it wasn't nowhere to the level of Donald Trump. Because we saw how irresponsible this man could be, and we fell for that. We got to get him out at every cost. I didn't fall. But this reminds me of Barack Obama signing a legislation piece called the Better Act, giving equal rights of pay to white women, majority white women, black people. The first black president, biracial president. Black people put him in there. He Al Greened us to the voting booth. And the first piece of legislation he signed, not for black people. The second piece, the third was not for black people. The fourth, the fifth, I can go on and on and on. 8 years go by, nothing. Oh, you can't use the criminal, decriminalizing people out of jail. It helps people too. Here's Joe Biden. We put that man over the hump, even got him states that are impossible, really, to win. He kicked you to the curb for the LGBTQ community. Now he's kicking you to the curb for the Asian community. But the lady back there skinning and grinning said, I can't just do nothing for black people now. Well, I don't see nobody black up there, but a little bit of black in you up in that panel. I don't even see old James Clyburn. I don't see him back there. I don't see nobody back there black but you. You're the closest black to black back there. But you're not there representing black. You're there representing Asians. Joe probably put a smiley face on that thing.
It's okay.
I knew I would. Okay, no, sorry. Thank you. Congratulations to you all.
That boy We letting this stuff happen. We letting it happen. We are letting this stuff happen because we too holding, sold out. We let them play games, emotional games, and fear games with us to try to keep us at bay. When we need to say, no, if you don't fear anything, you need to fear us. We'll leave you behind quick, fast, in a hurry. Now, me, myself, I'm not a registered Democrat or a Republican. I'm in it. And I vote on people based on what they done in the past, what they plan on doing now, and what they plan on doing in the future. You don't have a black agenda, piss off. Don't come telling me about a black. See, I combined to the Joe Biden black agenda, just I combined to Trump black agenda because Trump really never did anything for black community. Now, I will admit he did send some money to different nonprofits down here, like that, but that's for tax rights. It wasn't because Biden when they never did nothing like that a day in his life. We keep letting this stuff happen, and we got to stop letting it happen. We need to do exactly what Tammy Duckworth, Hirohito, and the rest of those Asians said. Look, I'm not beholden to you, nothing. You don't start doing something for my community, then you gonna feel the pain from my community, and I'm gonna lead that if I have to. And you can get out my face with that. Oh, you're trying to help the Republicans. No, I'm trying to help my people. I don't care about you. I may have ran as a Democrat, but my people is the reason why I ran. About my people. I don't give a crap about party allegiance or anything. If my people told me to become a Republican, as long as I got their back and they can count on me to get something done for them, I'll become a Republican, a Democrat. It don't. I become a yellow crat. I become a green crat. Whatever. I'm representing my community. But Malcolm X, all about that black nationalism. Black nationalism wasn't a racist organization. Basically said, look, I'm looking out for my people. I don't hate y'all, but my people come first. Here's Joe Biden again. Joe Biden.
My message to all of those of you.
I think I lost it. I think I lost that. But let's go to this real quick. Finish this. He said hate has no place in America. The man who hate between blacks and law enforcement. The one who encouraged hate through a legislation piece called the crime bill that offered qualified immunity in open season on black people. If I need to get my numbers up, all I have to do is put some crack in your pocket, you going in, bruh. If I'm looking for a particular person and I know he live in a particular neighborhood, we doing a whole sweep over the neighborhood. We gonna throw you and your grandma on the ground until we get some information about this guy. Oh, we gonna throw you in the squad car and rough you up until we get some kind of information. Even if we have to fabricate a story and your story line up with mine, we gonna put the beat down on you. But hate has no place in America. I look forward to making that clear this afternoon by signing the COVID-19 Hate Crime Act into law. I told you folks that Joe Biden would be the better choice for Republicans because Joe Biden is a Republican. Joe Biden have deep relationships with Republicans. That's why it was so easy to move this bill through the House and the Senate. All right, so what I want to do right now before I go, this is the COVID-19 Crime Act, sponsored by Senator Rono Mazzi, signed by the president. All right. The act may be cited as the COVID-19 Crime Act. Well, we don't know it as the COVID-19 Hate Crime Act because we really didn't see too many people committing COVID-19 hate crimes. I myself haven't seen nobody. Why did you do that? What was the motive? COVID-19. COVID-19 made me do it. I didn't see that. Anybody in my neighborhood attack any person because of COVID-19? I didn't hear, and look, I'm in New York, folks. I didn't hear anybody. I mean, I get on the train and when COVID started and they started to shut down, you coughed on the train, brothers was ready to kick your butt off the train. Yo, man, you better go somewhere with that mess, man. Get off the train. Got time for that bull. Get off the train, man. All that coughing. That's about it. It didn't matter what color you was. But nobody was singled out. Nobody was really singing out Asians here in New York. The stuff that you see on TV, don't believe that crap, man. That stuff's a lot of stuff is manufactured. Here's what it said. Congress fined the following. Following the spread of COVID-19 in 2020, there has been a dramatic increase in hate crime and violence against Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. And what, it went from 200 to 220? Or it went from 20 to 200? Dramatic increase. Epidemic, right? Now, you notice they put Pacific Islanders. It started off as Asian Americans. But most of the so-called people who are being targeted are Chinese, maybe some Japanese, maybe some people from Indonesia. But it ain't people from Hawaii. It's not people from Maui. It's not people from those areas. What are you talking about? Now, you can't say Japan is a Pacific island. But you got people in Hawaii just eating this up. According to the recent report, there were nearly 3,800 reported cases of anti-Asian discrimination and incidents related to COVID-19 between March 1920 and February 2021. 3,800 reported cases. Well, who's investigating the reports? Because those could be manufactured. During the time frame, race has been cited as a primary reason for discrimination. Who said that? Who said race was the reason for the discrimination? Primary reason. Maybe somebody saw somebody coughing and said, yo, get up there 6 feet away from me, man. What's wrong with you? Why you up on my neck? Get up off me. And maybe the person didn't want to listen and the man pushed him off me. Stay away from me. 6 feet, brother. You gonna call that a hate crime too? Making up over 90% of incidents, and the United States condemns. The United States condemns and denounces any and all anti-Asian and Pacific Islanders sentiment in any form. But you, the United States, cannot condemn race soldiers, racist police officers, killing over 120-something people since the George Floyd, Derek Chauvin conviction. Are you freaking kidding me? The United States condemns 3,800 reported cases of anti-discrimination, not murders, not beat downs, because incidents doesn't necessarily mean physical violence. Incident could be me just cussing your behind out. An incident could be me bumping into you. An incident could be me buying a pack of hair and you don't want to give me my money back and I threw it back on the counter because I got a hot head. And you probably saying I did that because you're Asian and I shop in the Asian store. During this time frame. So in a time frame, they decided to make something a law. They gave Asians made them a protective class in a time frame. And here we are. We've been brutalized, humiliated, shamed. What do you mean shamed? You bust into my house and my girlfriend is butt naked and you murder her in my face and I can't defend myself? I don't even know who you are. Humiliating. You being a security officer in a facility of a building and you keep messing with a particular person because you don't like them for some reason, and then you feel like you want to tase her because she's pregnant and she happened to try to defend herself because she feared her own life and take the taser away from you, and you get mad and you shoot them. Or I'm coming from my girlfriend's house sipping on sweet tea and eating Skittles, and you want to come harass me? And you want to come push up on me and show your muscle? And I show you you ain't just going to do that to me, so I whoop your behind? Roughly 36% of these incidents took place at a business. At more than 2 million Asian American businesses. I want you to understand that. This is one of the reasons why they passed this bill. I told you, economics and the ability to not to show any allegiance to a party. The ability to lobby. See, lobbyists are not party people. They're not party people. I keep thinking about that song, Party People. You know. Yeah. Lobbyists are not party people. And the Asian community see themselves as lobbyists. They don't see themselves as politicians. They may run for office, but they still see themselves as lobbyists. I'm here to lobby, or you can say jockey, for position for my community. See, the United States government realized that there's over 2 million Asian American businesses. They even say it in this bill. They contributed to the diverse fabric of American life. Now, how many Black-owned businesses in America? They say these incidents took place, 36% took place at businesses. So you might have Shaquita. I got a friend named Shaquita, typical Black name. You don't see that many white people named. You don't see no Asian people named Shaquita unless she's Asian and Black. I got a friend named Shaquita. Shaquita came into the store where I worked at, and she couldn't get no refund on the hair. I mean, you don't open the pack up and you done took it apart and stuff. There's a big sign say no refund. Shaquita gets mad. So she throws soda on my uncle, who happens to be Asian. Now, my uncle loses it. He considers that an assault. That can be considered an act of violence, throwing soda. Not acid. Well, soda do have acid in it, but that could be considered an act of violence. I seen a man spit on a woman. Now, Asian men spit on a woman. They don't consider that a violence. But if I cuss you out, they call that verbal violence. AOC likes to use that word, verbal violence. When somebody pushed back on her not doing her job and they push back on her aggressively, she called them verbal abusing her. More than 1,900,000 Asian American and Pacific Islander older adults, particularly those older adults who are recent immigrants or have limited English proficiency, may face even a greater challenge in dealing with COVID-19 pandemic, including discrimination, economic insecurity, and language isolation. So you want to use a virus as a reason why you need to make Asians a protective class. But you can't see every day the stuff that's going on to Black people here on the streets. And I'm just talking about on the streets. I'm not talking about the ability not to get Black people 2 million businesses. How you do whatever you can to keep us from getting businesses. How you do whatever you can to keep us from getting housing and still keeping us from getting loans. See, folks, the Asian understand that. That's why the Asians go to their bank. They have their own banks in their community. You come over to Chinatown, they got their own jewelry store, they got their own food. Even the fast food joints are in their neighborhood. They go in your neighborhood, our neighborhood, and open up a restaurant and expect us to patronize them. They go to our neighborhood and make tons of money and get rich off of us. That money don't stay in the community. It goes into their community. And we allow that to happen. And I'm not saying, you know, to each his own. If you figure you can start a business in another neighborhood and make bank, do it. But I'm saying you got to see the reason why people are getting more done than we are. Number one, the United States recognize that they're a powerhouse when it comes to business and money. Economically, they're strong. Number two, they don't show no allegiance to political parties. Number three, they focus more on lobbying for their community than anything else. Now, I'm not going to go over this on bill because I'm already over my time, but you take some time out and go over this. Review of hate crimes. Let's look at this. In general, not later than 7 days after the date of enactment of this act, the Attorney General should designate an officer or employee of the Department of Justice whose responsibility during the applicable period should be to facilitate the expedited review of hate crimes, as described in Section 249 of Title 18, United States Code, and report of any such crime to the federal, state, local, or tribal law enforcement agency. So, if you commit a crime, they're going to determine whether your crime is a federal crime, state, local, or tribal. Now, guess what, black folks? If you are involved in this, 9 times out of 10, they're going to try you state or federal. They're not going to try you local, and you definitely ain't going to get tried tribal. In this section, the term applicable period means the period beginning on the date of which the officer or employee is designated under subsection A, and ending on the date that is 1 year after the date which the emergency period described in subparagraph B of section 1135G1 stuff I don't know nothing about. This is legal needs. I'm not an attorney. Okay. It's a lot up here, guys. You're gonna have to go and look at this yourself, or we'll do a part 2 on this. Guidance for law enforcement agencies. The Attorney General should issue guidance to state, local. In other words, they're going to hand out what they need to do. They're going to tell the state, the local law enforcement, this is a hate crime, and you need to do this in order to enforce it. Establish online reporting of hate crimes or incidents, and to have online reporting that is equally effective for people with disabilities as for people without disabilities, available in multiple languages as determined by the Attorney General. So, look, you need to be reporting this. If you see something, you better say something. If you don't, you could be on the other end of this law. Now, people can see black people getting brutalized and don't do nothing. People are scared. They sat there and watched George Floyd videotape the whole thing. You had a nurse that tried to help out. They basically told her to shut up. You had a UFC fighter, black dude, wasn't willing to risk his life to protect George Floyd's life. He could have took on at least 2 of those cops, right? He's MMA. Well, Rob Davis killed him. Sometimes some things are worth dying for. We got people who go out here and die for this country every day. I'm talking about military. I ain't talking about no police officers. But some of them do too. All police officers are not race soldiers, okay? But you do have a lot of race soldiers in the police department. Everywhere. People risk their lives every day for a country, and they kind of come back to this country and got to deal with this bull crap. And they will proudly go do it again and again and again. But we can't risk our life for our own people. Now they're telling you, you got to put yourself in a position to risk protecting somebody. And that's what it's going to get. This bill going to be that if you don't do nothing to help me out, I can report you. Because you just let it happen. Collect data disaggregated by the protected characteristic described in Section 249. I told you they made Asians a protected class in the United States, but we've been here over 400 years, and we have not yet been made a protected freaking class. Guidance relating to COVID-19 pandemic. The Attorney General and Secretary of Health and Human Service in coordinated. See, they got the Secretary of Health and Human Service involved with the Attorney General on this. With the COVID-19 Healthy Equity Task Force and community-based organizations should issue guidance aimed at raising awareness of hate crimes during the COVID-19 pandemic. Section 5, the Barr-Hare No Hate Act. Folks, I got to say something. You can't legislate hate. Hate goes as far as the beginning of human existence. Now, a person's ability to display their hate on somebody, physically you might could do something about that. But you can't tell somebody, I mean, people call me the N-word all day. I'm not calling the police because they call me I punch them in the jaw. Well, I'm at an age now that you call me an N-word, I can call you a C-word. You give it, I give it back. I ain't got to get in no physical fight with you. You got to stop trying to legislate verbal words. That's crazy. Bad enough I can't look at a fine girl in the freaking airport looking at her body and say, God dang, she the bomb. I say the bomb, they going to take me in. Bro, you can't say bomb in the airport. Yo, see the back of her? She look like she got two of them in her. Let me stop. These people are not only going to legislate that you do whatever you can to protect these people, but you got to watch your words. Anyway, let me read this, and I'm just going to be done with this one. We'll go to the next. This section may be cited as the Khalid Jabrara and Heather Heyer National Opposition to Hate, Assault, and Threats Equality Act. Now, when you mention equality, they're not talking about blacks having the same as whites. They're talking about the LGBTQ. Congress finds the following. Here's the finding. The incidence of violence known as hate crime. Hate crime, why is... Like I said, you got to understand what they are going to term a crime of hate. They could term anything a crime of hate. The law is passed now. They're going to put in people who's going to determine what hate is now. They wasn't doing it before, but they're going to do it now. Now that the law is passed. The Attorney General is going to determine that. The Justice Department is going to determine that. And a Director of Health and Human Services is going to determine that. Incidents of violence known as hate crimes or crimes motivated by bias poses a serious national problem. It always poses a serious national problem. It's been posing a serious national problem for us, and you guys didn't do anything about it. According to data obtained by the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the incident of such violence increased in 2019, the most recent year for which data is available. Now, again, I told you, my man, information man, pulled up the actual data from the FBI. And it wasn't even over, I don't even think it was over 300. So altogether, a few people did get murdered, and that's wrong, and that's a shame, and that person need to be locked up and get the fullest to the extent of the law, just like the police should when they do it to us. It's a shame. But it's nowhere near the level of what we get through every day. Brother trying to run, coming home, take the pathway, get to his house from his mama's house, and you got white people hunting this brother down. Nobody call that hate. Young brother walking around in the neighborhood, and you got somebody coming out there telling you, you're in the wrong neighborhood, boy. We're a tight-knit community around here. I don't know you. Got to deal with that crap. That's not hate. In 1990, Congress enacted a Hate Crime Statistic Act. So they're going to put this bill in that bill. They're going to add this to this bill to provide federal government, law enforcement agencies, and the public with data regarding the incident of hate crime. The Hate Crime Statistic Act and the Matthew Shepard and James Byrd Jr. Hate Crime Prevention Act. So they got multiple hate crime acts in this bill. This have enabled federal authorities to understand and where appropriate investigation and prosecute hate crime. Let me read that again. It says enable federal authorities to understand and, where appropriate, to investigate and prosecute hate crime. So now they're going to be looking for places where they can understand it, where they can appropriate it, where they can investigate it, where they can prosecute it. And guess who are going to be the number one target they're going to look at? Not going to look at, they might look at some Trump MAGA people, but they sure going to be trying to blame this on the black community. They've been trying to do it since day one. Set us up about our demands. They want to say, you can't ask for us to do this for you, and you doing that to them. Then why won't you protect us like you protect them? All right, so this, I'm on section 5. I'm going to do more sections. Y'all up to. Jabara Hayer No Hate Act. This section may be cited as, we went over this. A more complete understanding of the national problem posed by hate crime is in the public interest and supports the federal interest in eradicating bias, motive, violence, reference in Section 249B1C of Title 18 United States Code. So they're claiming that it is our interest as a country to deal with violent hate. Well, a good place to start with that is in your local police department, local law enforcement. A good place to start with that is in your financial sector, because people are denying black people their rights to start businesses, purchase homes, get an education based on their color. But that's not violence. However, complete understanding of the national problem posed hate crime is hindered by incomplete data from the federal, state, and local jurisdiction throughout the Uniform Crime Report programs authorized under Section 534 and Title 28 United States Code and administered by the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Now, look, they're going to take their time, and they're probably going to do 5 years. And when the next election comes, you're going to see this thing blow up from a couple of hundreds, couple of thousand, 10, 20, 30, 50,000 agents. They want to do whatever they can to take the focus off of what's going on in the black community and demand that the black community and everybody else focus on the Asian community. Keep your eyes off the black community. Nothing here, buddy. No evil, here no evil. It's over here in the Asian community. We fought Trump for that, calling it the China virus. Multiple factors contribute provision of inaccurate and incomplete data regarding the incident. See, they're going to fabricate the data on this. They're saying what we got now is not enough. FBI is wrong. That's what they're saying. And the FBI probably are right for once. Incidents of hate crime through the Uniform Crime Report Program. A significant contribution factor is the quality and quantity of training that state and local law enforcement agencies receive on the identification and reporting of suspected by bias motive crimes. Number 7, the problem of crimes motivated by bias is sufficiently serious, widespread, and interstate in nature as to warrant federal financial assistance to the state and local jurisdiction. How come we, who are on a higher level than the Asians when it comes to hate crime, how come we're not getting this? How come we don't get the uniform crime reports out? Where's our uniform crime report? Where's our quality and quantity of training of state and local law enforcement officers to make sure that they get on this thing that we got to deal with? Oh, I forgot, a lot of them work there. Number 7, the problem of crimes motivated by bias is sufficiently serious, widespread, and interstate in nature as to the warrant federal financial assistance to states and local jurisdiction. I just read that. So they're saying this particular crime is serious. This is widespread. This is interstate. Not what black people are going through, but what the Asians are going through. The federal financial assistance with regard to certain violent crimes motivated by bias enables federal, state, and local authorities to work together as partners in the investigation and prosecution of such crimes. Well, you're sure not doing it with us. You're not doing it with us. Everybody, but Kamala Harris said if you do it for one, it'll help out all people. Well, then why you didn't start with us? Why you starting with the Asian? Why you didn't start with us and we've been dealing with this mess for over 4 years? All right, so definitions is the last one I'm going to do, and then we'll pick this up later. In this section, definition. Number 1, hate crime. The term hate crime means the act described by Section 245, 247, 249 of Title 18, United States Code, or in Section 901 of the Civil Rights Act of 1968. Now, they will use the Civil Rights Act of 1968, which was not even strong then. Number 2, now we're going to go over this stuff later. Priority agency. The term priority agency means a law enforcement agency of a unit of local government, local government that serves a population of not less than 100,000 as computed by the Federal Bureau of Investigation, or a law enforcement agency of a unit of local government that serves a population of not less than 50,000 and less than 100,000 as computed by the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and has reported no hate crimes through the Uniform Crime Reports program in each of the 3 most recent calendar years for which such data is available. So they got all these agencies that's going to be trying to figure this out on behalf of Asians, but they can use these same agencies to figure it out. But they probably do and say there's nothing there. Oh, we did our investigation and it is not that serious. We see nothing's here. We see nothing here. But 30 Asians get knocked down and all hell break loose. All right, so I'm gonna stop at number 2, and we're gonna go into. Now let me finish this. Stop at reporting of hate. state, number 3. The term state has the meaning giving the term in Section 901 of Title I of the Omnibus Crime Control and Safe Street Act of 1968. And it's a lot of stuff we have to go through to try to get an understanding of how they shaped this bill. Number 4, Uniform Crime Reports. The term Uniform Crime Report means the report authorized under Section 531 of Title 28 United States Code and administered by the Federal Bureau of Investigation that compiled nationwide criminal status for use in law enforcement administration, operation, and management, and to assess the nature and type of crime in the United States. Number 5, unit of local government. The term unit of local government has a meaning giving the terms of Section 901, Title I of the Omnibus Crime Control and Safe Street Act of 1968, 34 U.S.C. 10251. All right, so we're going to stop there. We're going to come back on reporting of hate crimes. That's very important because you're going to be surprised who's going to be forced to report hate crimes. Now, look, I'm not a brainiac. I'm not an attorney. I'm just a nobody. I'm just a man who's just trying to get us to look into stuff. That's why I continue to advise people to watch the information. It has all these statistics from the FBI. These people are going to utilize the FBI, CIA, the MIA, and MOB, whatever. They're going to use all these multi-international statistical agencies reporting and things like that to come up with a number to get your eyes focused off our issues, black issues, that include whites, Asian. They're going to try to get you to deflect your eyes from us because they hate the fact that when we go through situations like the George Floyd incident, you have the whole community in a whole, black, white, Asian, lesbian, gay, everybody come together to march on behalf of change. Some of it legit, some of it not legit. Most of it legit, not legit. They hate the fact that when they did this to George Floyd, the community as a whole came together to deal with that incident. They want to cause a division in the communities because they want to make sure that we don't get what's rightfully ours. And they're willing to support and push any agenda, they're willing to manufacture anything of consent, get you riding off on that, off of what we're trying to do over here. Let me remind you something. I am for reparations. And reparation is my number one agenda. I know some of you people want Medicare for all. Yeah, I got a good health care plan here in New York. What can I say? I know some of you people want no-cost education. Blacks in general, your number one focus should be economic repair of your community. We should be equal status with the dominant society, and I don't even like to call them dominant society. The only reason they dominate is because they do whatever they can to keep their power. We should be on an even plane with the white community when it comes to running this country because we've been here since day one. Matter of fact, some of us was here before they got here. And the economic development of this country that caused everybody to want to come over here is because of what we did. I used to think they had the blueprint and we had the labor, but a lot of it was our blueprint and our labor, and they took that for themselves. So you're doggone right. Economic repair, as we call reparations, is my number one priority that I push. And if you're not in it, then I'm not in it with you. And the black community got to take a page out of Malcolm X's book. And Malcolm X said, look, you got to become as a black, you got to become as one. You need to do what the Asians do. Start developing your own economic prosperity. Start developing your community to be a tight-knit community and have a code. And start demanding these parties to kiss your behind instead of you doing whatever you can to get them into power. You need to tell them, no, you need to give us some power if you want to continue to stay in power. That's what the Asians did, Biden, in the whole entire Congress, the House and the Senate. I want to thank everybody for being. Really appreciate. Hope this is where I'm at. I mean, I've been in politics for a while. Tired of pushing politicians. The way for true change is not pushing politicians. The way for true black community starting take power. Stop giving away the power that they. And one power that you got is you had to use power, leverage to put a right to vote. Got it. Now you got to use that same power, use the right to vote, obtain. Most of the women just give up the. I hate to say this, but a super loop or a playboy man that like to play the field and like to have multiple, hard for him. Get somebody that's gonna want to settle down with him after he finally so-called something. It's hard for her. You know, I got a term called slut voting. You gotta stop slutting away power, your ability to make change. Serve that until they see worthy of it. Right now, Democrats, Republicans do not see anybody else letting them know, look, you ain't getting this without earning it. Time that we start. All right, I'm done with this one, guys. Always remember this. Go out there, whatever you do, whatever you can. Or take it.